Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Dylan.
Yeah.
Tonight at 11, we will be talking about... Sorry. Halfway through that, I feel like I had that cadence.
Off the clock.
I had that cadence of I feel like I was...
Right, fucking news anchor.
Yeah.
These are recreational hours.
Yep.
Where we yap.
Where we yap. I just flipped the switch. And I'm just full, my dial's all the way up. I'm cranked up. I'm live right now.
Crank.
We touched up on this a little bit.
Its name has been whispered.
Yes, and a little bit in last week's episode. At least I believe it's last week's episode. We talked about a moment in the anime, the Irresponsible Captain Tylor.
Yep.
I always say irresistible.
Motherfucker's got Tyler on the brain 24/7.
I mean, he's irresistible. I look at him and I'm like, yes, he may be irresponsible, but damn, if he's not charming. I'm just going to apologize. I just got back from a gig, and it's pretty late,
right?
And to help me get
Always
through
is.
help me get through the tail end of that show, I had some coffee, and it's pretty late, and so I feel like I need to slow myself down because I feel like I'm stumbling over my words.
A little bit.
My mind is moving faster than my mouth can handle. But I'm not blaming it all on the coffee alone because because this show I have fallen in love with.
Oh yeah.
As I had mentioned before, Dylan says, I think this is going to be one of your favorites, and he was not wrong. This has been a wonderful anime that we watched, and I can't wait
Damn Skippy.
to deep dive into this. The first thing that I want to talk about, as we have done on this show before, I usually Google the movie and or show in question and pull up some things or just pull up the stuff so I have some of the character names sometimes or the actors or whatever. Just have the Google page. It all just pulled up right there. And you know how at the bottom, well, I don't say the bottom of the screen, but it's like Google has this little section that says people also ask. And it's usually like questions regarding the same sort of topic.
You didn't get spoiled or nothing, did you?
No. I'm talking about tonight.
Okay, right.
I typed it in tonight, and the first one at top says, "Is Captain Tylor a genius?" Question mark.
Of course.
And I just want to start off.
Fucking course.
I want to start off.
That was Dom.
Oh, 100%. He's the one who asked that. What a great way to start off the episode with, is he really a genius?
Yeah. Signs point to yes.
Yes. Big if true tonight at 11. It says one of the largest points of dispute in the story is Tylor's competence. Several characters say Tylor say of Tylor, quote unquote, I can't decide if he's an idiot or a genius.
Right.
The answer is a mystery left up to the viewer, and I think he's a genius in his own right.
Whereas Admiral Mifune put it, the heretic monkey.
Yes. What a great analogy.
It was fucking insane. He was just walking along the beach after all this shit, after almost like coming to blows with the entire Rawgun fleet after Captain Tylor had like taken command.
Oh, yeah.
Talking to his little crony that's been with him through the whole show.
Right.
Like discussing, like he's coming around. He is
a little
slowly
bit.
but surely coming around to Tylor.
He's like he can't be all bad. This also coming, on the tails of them almost killing him too.
Right, several times.
Right.
Actively sabotaging.
Trying. And he's like, you know how in monkey societies they have tribes and they're very staunch on their tribes. They don't commingle and they're very territorial. And he's like, his crony's like, okay, yeah. And he's like, then there's
always. I don't
always,
know why you're bringing that up, but
he's
sure,
like, there's a heretic monkey that always gets their way into the clan or whatever, the tribe. And no matter how much
him right there and been like, sir, do
Are
you
you-
hear yourself?
Are you saying that Tylor is a heretic
real?
monkey? And he's like, no matter how hard you beat them, they will always integrate themselves into their tribe. And it's to stop, or it really helps from inbreeding and all that kind of stuff. Like it, diversifies them a little bit. And I was like, that's a kind of interesting take on that. That is an interesting way to say that you don't hate them.
Right. Maybe we'll keep him around.
Yeah, maybe we'll keep him around.
Maybe he really is just a silly little guy.
Maybe he's just a silly little guy.
Yeah.
This is what I would consider like a shorter. Well, would you consider it a short anime? 26 episodes.
I'd say average.
Probably average. Okay, I feel like average is somewhere like 30 to. Well, no, I was gonna say 30 to 40, but I think 40 is kind of a longer.
Right.
Probably 26 is probably pretty average.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because wasn't. How many episodes was Outlaw Star? Was it the same? 20-something?
It had to, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I think, so that is pretty average. Came out in 1993.
Yeah.
So around the time that I was born, which is crazy to think about, that it's been that long.
Yeah.
But
that shit hurts.
As we have talked about on this show ad nauseum, even in the previous episode a little bit, I'm a sucker for a good team dynamic show. I like a good diverse variety of characters. Rogues Gallery. The motley crew of characters. Yeah, give me a bunch of goobers, please, on a spaceship.
A goober's dozen, if you would.
I'll take a goober's dozen, please. And how they all have different personality types, they all have different archetypes, they all have different stereotypes. We're all the different types.
Like mine with extra pluck,
and
wit.
And I really, I think it's fun, and I enjoy that, and I like that out of shows. We've talked about that in numerous anime specifically, and all other movies and media and games. But this one hits the mark. I love it. Again, it had, like we've talked about before with certain anime in that time frame, it just has a certain feel to it, like the art style, the kind of
very aesthetically pleasing,
right? The kind of the analog grain of it all that kind of makes it feel very of the time. I love the music.
Oh, dude. That motherfucker Kenji Kawai don't ever miss. It's just banger after banger.
Yeah. It's really good. He's the same one that did Pat Labor.
Yep.
The TV show?
Yes,
or all
the
of
TV
it?
Series.
Okay.
He definitely worked on a bit more, I want to say, in some bits of the OVA as well.
Right.
But yeah, he's one of the greats.
There's definitely some tracks in Tylor that sound an awful lot like the funny, plucky tracks from Pat Labor, which feels very nostalgic in a way, because it also feels like it's that time that like in that time frame of like of when the animes came out. So it kind of gives me that same. You hear it, and you can kind of hear just like hearing like a John Williams score. You can hear Jurassic Park or Star Wars or name them, and you're like, okay, there's like a signature sound. There's a feel to it. For me, there's a couple tracks in this show that you're like, this feels a bit nostalgic from something from something that makes me feel good. And it's Pat Labor. Spoiler.
Big old police robots.
Yes.
What a concept.
Yeah. This show starts off, I would say, pretty quick.
It's got a bit of a snowball effect.
Right. In the biz, we call, and I think I want to say in the biz because everyone knows this, but like you have a pilot, which a pilot is a lot of times mini shows.
The hook.
The episode 1, because a lot of times, or at least I'm not sure this is still a thing they do, but like once upon a time, you would come up with a concept for a show, get funding or approval, or like find a way to create a pilot, and then like you would take that pilot to like to focus groups, as well as like production companies and things like that to get it greenlit. Because if you can get people to like it, and then distribution companies to like it, then that's how you get money and you can make more. So a lot of times in in a lot of media, a lot of times like a lot of shows will cover a lot in the pilot, either a lot of like exposition or we'll make it fun and or sometimes a little bit risque or whatever to get people's like appeal. Because once you get them hooked, then you get the money, and then of course you can make more of it and kind of do what you want with it.
Yeah.
So this is not in a bad way, but it kind of feels like that. The pilot is like, I mean, we're hitting out the park hard.
Oh yeah.
Or it's like it's funny. It's a bit risque. It's wild. It's also like I think it establishes our main character very well.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he also meets the rest of the crew in the first episode, or is that later?
No, he encounters different members of what's going to be part of the crew,
right,
through different episodes. But then he meets the rest of the crew once he actually gets command of the ship.
Okay, cool. That's cool. Okay. So regardless, he still gets like, there's still a lot of groundwork that happens.
Yeah.
In the first couple episodes. And I asked you whenever we finished this show, how did you end up hearing about this show?
And I found it on Amazon after like looking at different recommendations after I'd ordered like some other random show that I had heard or seen about.
Which I'm so excited that this was just like a random find for you.
Yeah.
Because man, what a diamond in the rough. In our context. For anybody out there who knows of this show and has known about it for a long time, feel free
We've
to
been sleeping.
Yeah, we've been sleeping on it.
Yeah.
But boy, I have fallen in love. I've never been a huge fan of like the Bumble King stereotype.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad.
Right.
It's just a lot of times like I think it could be implemented differently or whatever. Or I just don't really jive with the character or whatever the thing may be. There's a couple times where I feel like it is done pretty well. Yeah. Like I think that Trigun did a pretty good job.
Yeah, dude.
I think that was a pretty good where I remember watching that and thinking like, okay, this is kind of a fun take on that. And then this one sometimes took it a bit far, but I think that they I think it was handled well because I think there was a crew of people around him that were level-headed, and we were able to get an understanding into their insight.
Comparatively normal people,
right. And I think
you would expect to see in this kind of field,
right? In the military field, which is interesting.
You've got a crew full of soldiers, and then there's just some guy in the captain's chair, just doing shit,
just doing what he wants,
right?
And I think that balances it out a little bit. To have all these quote unquote normal people,
right,
or normal adjacent people compared to Tylor, and you're able to kind of hear their inner monologue and them talking about how they think and feel about how like
favorite moments. Is anytime Tylor does something and then you see Yamamoto in the background, either aghast or in awe of what he's done or said.
He is kind of the second in command.
And what most would consider the perfect like career soldier.
You're right. Very to the book.
By the books, no matter what.
Yeah. And man,
he has his moments. He can get a little goofy.
Correct.
Right. And man, watching him develop throughout this entire series is one of my favorite parts of it.
I don't want to jump to the end, but I agree with what you're just saying, because I do want to I want to touch on something that happens towards the end there.
Yeah.
I love his flip-flopping. There are so many times where Tylor will do things or discuss things or say things in a certain way, and his inner monologue will be like, I can't believe that this person is such a disgrace to the title of captain.
Right.
That he would snoop himself so low to do something so dishonorable. I can't believe it.
And then it'll make a heel turn. Shit'll just work out seemingly at random, and then Yamamoto goes, He's
a strategic mastermind.
He is the pinnacle.
Yes,
a shining example of what every captain should be.
Right. He will. There was a couple.
I idolize this man.
There's a couple of times where he literally gets choked up, sniffles, and wipes a tear away as he's like, "I'm so proud to be underneath this captain," and it's like, what?
It don't take much to get the waterworks going.
I love it. It's so great.
Mm-hmm.
But like we said before, his rogues gallery of shipmates are all so fun and interesting, and it really
should be noted, contextually speaking, that the Soyokaze, the destroyer that he's put in charge of, is widely considered by the greater United Planet Space Force to be a dumping ground for undesirables and former criminals.
Right.
So, as you might assume, the crew itself, while having a few good eggs here and there, is very unorthodox for a military vessel.
Very rough around the edges.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Marines especially.
Oh, yeah.
They might as well just be a gang in and of themselves.
At one point
just
in time,
chilling out in the ship.
At one point in time, they form a coup against him.
Right.
they try to overthrow him.
Oh yeah.
But
then they see the light.
Right. I love the fact that they have so many characters and we get to see them throughout the entire show, because then you really get to see the development.
One of which is straight up Jason Voorhees.
Yes. That's funny. Isn't his name Jason?
Yes.
Yeah. Love that. That's so funny.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So by the time this show kind of comes to a conclusion, you've been with this whole crew, and whenever this comedic kind of goofy show takes a little bit of a serious spin, I think it weighs a little bit more in some aspects.
Oh yeah.
I think if the show was more dramatic, I'm not to say that the ending or towards the ending wouldn't have had as much of an impact, but I think because everyone's so lighthearted and so fun and kind of carefree, that like whenever everything kind of comes down to like it being kind of serious, and everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and
everybody locks in.
Everybody locks in. You're like, man, that's
a tight ass crew.
Yeah,
that's one of the best.
For me, it makes me feel like, okay, yeah, this like it gives them more emotion, more emotional weight.
Oh yeah,
especially with our character Tylor,
which
in the beginning of the show, there's a couple of occasions where he is met with obstacles and
seemingly insurmountable odds.
Right, and it really feels like things are just going in his favor. He's just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not. Right. He's very carefree, very like, it's whatever.
Very lax.
Yeah, he takes a very, I would say, pacifistic approach where he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want conflict. He will,
actively avoids it more often than not.
Right. Which I think to much of the chagrin of the other the other bridge mates on their, they're always like, what do you mean?
Right. You what?
You want us to run?
You surrender?
Excuse me? And then by happenstance, things go in his favor.
Yeah. He just so happens to hand a bomb meant for him disguised as a present. To
that coup
captain,
the aforementioned coup. The
Marines decided to whip him up a little gift.
It was a bomb inside of a present box.
Pulled the same trick on Yamamoto.
Yep.
Took the bomb like it was nothing, straight on the chin.
Yep.
Somehow survives. But
cartoon logic.
Exactly. Yeah. He just ends up with a few scorch marks and like, covered in soot.
Yeah. Like real cartoon stuff where he's just like, his hair's a bit frazzled and he's like, oh.
Right. That was just a preliminary. That was the
that was the small bomb.
Whatever the fuck they put in that box meant for Tylor straight up destroys.
Yeah. It was literally a hell bomb from Helldivers.
It destroys a Rawgun shuttle after the enemy captain left their ship and was about to have the Soyokaze destroyed.
Yep.
And they make it out scot-free.
Tylor was like, well, thanks, captain of the enemy fleet, for coming by and hanging out with us.
You've taught me so much.
Yeah. Here, take
as
this
a token of my appreciation here.
This little gift.
Right.
from my crew to yours.
Yeah.
He leaves the hangar and then bam, it explodes. And it's like,
and of course the Marines are like, there's no way he knew, right? He didn't even.
He's not that much of a genius, is he?
Right? How?
Yeah. And again, at this point in time, they just think he's an incompetent fool,
Right?
And
a lucky
fool.
Mm-hmm.
And then that happens, and Yamamoto. That's one of those moments where he's like, maybe
this was all part of his plan. He had to have known.
He had to have known.
There's no way.
Yeah. Him surrendering, allowing him onto the ship, and then it was all part of this grander plan.
Mm-hmm. He had them figured out from the start.
Wipes a single tear from his eyes. I can't believe I'm working with such a strategic genius.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's
that's the whole show.
Right. and so many other flavors.
Uh-huh.
So in the beginning, he's friends with Admiral Kenner, right?
Hanner, yes.
Hanner,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. And I'm trying to remember because I know he saves his daughters.
Right, he saves him, his daughters, and Yuriko from a couple of Ralgon bombers.
Right,
that are trying to take Hanner out. Through what, as you would imagine, the most unorthodox and insane means known to man.
Yeah,
where he just straight up talks to them.
Yeah,
and appeals to their better natures.
Yeah. At one point in time, if we were playing a tabletop role playing game,
this is the kind of shit expect to see.
This man is rolling nat 20s on all these charisma checks. He has risen the hell out of these guys.
Cannot be stopped.
And they're he is saying some encouraging, loving words to them of you got this. You're so much better than your circumstances. And you're an attractive man. What do you mean that you're? And everyone's
and he is moved to tears.
And he's like,
this dude's
you're right.
I finally know what it's like to encounter a like-minded individual.
Yeah.
Die with me.
Yeah. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Ends up getting pushed out the fucking window.
Yeah. But so he knew Admiral Hanner before he rescued his daughters, or was that kind of the catalyst?
That was the first time they had met.
Okay.
He worked at the pension department and was going to deliver said pension.
Yeah.
But after that point, they became real good friends.
Right. Which I say, I love that. Mm-hmm. I love the little through line that we get of Admiral Hanner and him, because that makes all the difference as the show progresses.
Oh, yeah.
This moment at the beginning, 2 episodes or so, where he saves them, and of course, becomes, there's this, I don't think he's technically retired. Is he retired, I think? Or is he just, okay.
Right.
He's a retired admiral, and he's this older gentleman. You can tell he's kind of on hospice, I guess.
Right. Real old.
Really old, older gentleman, and he's in some kind of home.
Right.
Kind of like a care unit kind of thing. And so, as he kind of grows fond, as they grow fond of each other in a lot of ways, we don't, at least from what I remember, we don't hear any dialogue between them.
Yeah, Hanner is supposedly able to speak and is understandable, but to us, the viewer, it just sounds like a bunch of gibberish.
Yeah.
Just the mumblings of an old man.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he sounds like.
Right, yeah.
In the show.
Yeah.
But
that was a perfect impression.
Yeah, but Tyler, he understands no problem.
Yeah.
These
like
motherfuckers
R2D2 and
hold full
C3PO.
conversations. Like it's no big deal.
I'm pretty sure at one point in time the rest of the crew acknowledges that. They're like, what is he saying?
I can't quite understand.
Yeah. And he's talking about this.
Right. It's like, okay. How do you know? Yeah. And after that point, we only see him 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah.
He just makes little cameos here and there, but that's
that's all it takes, because that second encounter that we get, kind of, I would probably halfway through the show, they have a chance to, or they need to go back to, is it Earth technically, or is it another planet?
I'm not sure actually.
They need to go back planet side to repeal this kind of this order that's made on their ship.
Downgrade.
Yeah. Excuse me. And in the process of doing that, Tylor gets this urge, and he also and it's just this spark in his eye, this excitement in his voice, where he's like, "Oh, now that I'm here, I gotta go see Admiral Hanner. I gotta go see my buddy."
Right.
And it's like,
gotta catch up with my friend, let him know his daughters are okay.
Right. And it's like, it's just a little bit, but he ends up doing that.
Spends just about the whole day with the motherfucker.
Right. Like bringing him all about the town and all that
Telling
stuff.
him stories.
Yeah.
Everything he's done so far.
And it's like, it's so nice because the other Admiral, Mifune, is like out to kill him.
Most hard-ass motherfucker you will ever meet.
Carries
Carries a katana around with him everywhere.
Downright unbearable at times.
Yeah. And man, he cannot stand.
Yeah. He cannot stand that Tylor keeps winning.
Right. That somehow this hapless fool keeps achieving victory after victory.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. Right. Destroying entire ships, entire fleets of the enemy.
Right.
And he's like,
what?
What? He's almost driven to suicide
more
times
than
because
once.
He just can't bear it.
Yeah. At a certain point in time, I was waiting for him to fall because this show not only is the irresponsible actions of Tylor, but this is, I think, could also be pitched as the
many headaches of Admiral Mifune.
Yeah, and I was going to say the descent into madness of Admiral Mifune, because this is exactly this man is traumatized by the time this is all over with.
Right.
But anyways, I love that little juxtaposition because I think it adds a lot again later in the story to have this kind of retired but still revered admiral on your side that kind of speaks highly of you.
Oh yeah,
is like, it's nice that in a show where yes, the crew is growing on him. As a viewer, I really like Tylor regardless of how dumb or irresponsible he is.
Right.
But it's nice to see that there, like, the whole time there is this other very important character that is kind of fighting and rooting for Tylor as well. And it's really nice.
He's not a total idiot. He's just some guy.
He's just a guy.
Right.
And he's just doing what he can. Not only that, he's also a 20-year-old guy.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy.
Adopted, like, all the jargon and sensibilities of a military man. He just kept being the same dude who walked into the recruiting center off the street after seeing an ad on TV.
Yeah.
But
after seeing an ad on like a big
jumbotron.
Yeah, on like the Blade Runner 2049. Like
you look lonely.
Yeah. The LED wall or whatever. Yeah, he was sitting there in the rain, or at least I think it was raining, or it was the dark of night, and they're like, we're waiting for you to join the army. Or the Navy or whatever.
That sounds like a pretty cush gig.
Maybe I could do that.
And he just goes.
Yep.
Signs up, no issue. Several issues, but he does it anyway.
Yeah. Right. Gosh. There's so many little things about this show that I've fallen in love with.
Yeah. One of my favorite bits is that even though he's comes off as like this super languish, like, do nothing nobody,
right, he
still really fucking cares and loves like every member of the crew.
Yes
Says verbatim, like, you're all very important to me.
I
fucking love that shit.
All right,
because even if it seems like he's like just stumbling around doing whatever the hell comes to his mind first, he is actively trying to make sure nothing bad happens to the crew,
of course. And it really shows. And I'm trying to hold off on really talking about the ending because I feel like there's still more I want to talk about. But the emotional weight of what happens in I would wager the last 2 episodes. Because I mean, we watched the last disc had 6 apparently. Right. I think we watched 4 in one sitting.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot happens in those with, Azalin and all that stuff happens and everything like that. But it's the last 2 episodes, but really it's the last episode.
Yeah.
The last episode, a lot of emotional.
It's the fucking best.
It's definitely like it's a sigh of relief.
Mm-hmm.
So I get. Let me just gush on this now.
Yeah.
While we're
right.
here.
Yeah.
As we talked about before, the crew kind of grows on him a little bit.
Right.
They're a bit hesitant, but as this show progresses through,
they believe in him wholeheartedly.
Yes, they may not understand all of his ways, but they begin to kind of slowly understand that he
just to trust the process,
that he does care about them and is trying to do his best to take care of them,
right,
and the ship. And then, of course, later on, Azalin as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, the Empress of the enemy faction, by the way.
Crazy. But it's so cool to see that everyone goes from
being wary and dismissive of
they downright despise him at a certain point in time, to like really being on his side and really being with him. And like I was saying before with this character, Admiral Hanner, there's this one last moment where he brings the ship back. He succeeds in like repelling the fleet or whatever, and there's this touching
the big ass game of chicken.
Yes,
between him and Dom.
Oh gosh, and we'll get to that. We'll get to him and Dom in a second.
Oh yeah.
And Admiral Hanner gets to see him come back, and Admiral Hanner puts out this note to both sides of the the forces, being like,
I congratulate both sides on emerging victorious.
Yeah. And it's like some very high praise from this person. And then very shortly afterwards, he passes.
Yeah.
And it's, and this is when the show takes a hard pivot.
Oh, yeah.
In a really interesting way. Because we've watched this like comedic group, this goofy band of misfits all coming together and making a crew that is effective and is fun and loves each other, to all of a sudden have this jovial, carefree captain at the helm all of a sudden be distant,
lethargic, dejected,
depressed, respectfully, justifiably, because he's lost someone that is very close to him. Because I don't think he talks about his family ever, does he?
No, never.
So at that point, again, for me at least, whenever he loses Admiral Hanner,
whenever we see Tyler for the first time, he's just on the street, eating noodles out of a cup. We're only left to assume that he's homeless, or some shit, or maybe he just doesn't care,
or just wandering,
right?
But so we get to see a lot of different perspectives of the crew, being like, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" Like I mentioned to you, what happens is they succeed in that battle, and I liked the very realistic take of they just got back from this battle, and it was something that is worth celebrating. So as one would imagine, your higher ups and community are throwing a celebration for you. And so you are kind of expected to be at attendance because you are the captain of the ship that just did this. But in the same breath, you just received word that someone very close to you,
one of your best friends, died.
Yes, and higher ups, and this person that congratulated you on this, that just gave you a note that congratulated you.
Monumental victory.
So many things. This very important person to you passes away, and you are in a state of mourning as best you can, but you are also expected to be at this celebration. And I don't know if anybody has ever felt that before, where like you are in a sad state, but you have to kind of put a smile on, to kind of
just gotta keep it going.
Just kind of keep it going. It's hard, and it's not fun. It's only been a few times in my life I've had to do something like that before. And I would wager that Tylor does not take it well.
Oh no.
He at a certain point in time, he's literally just eating food with his hands and just being like, I don't give a shit.
Bare hands.
I don't give a shit about none of this.
Wiping the shit on his dress whites.
Yep, just being like, whatever.
Yeah, and then he just walks out.
He gets plastered drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, again, what we would call a cry for help.
Yeah.
He's acting wild. He's doing all this stuff, and then of course that's whenever he kind of goes in this wandering, I would say in a state of mourning, and kind of goes into disappearance, like.
Right.
So yeah, it takes a real pivot because now we get to see a very serious side of Tylor, and it's a very hard situation, and it feels very real and very emotional. And for me, because of the fact that we've been with this whole crew, to kind of see them deal with all their emotions in different ways, and kind of being frustrated that he's running away, kind of being upset or scared or nervous, and it's like I love it because it feels very real. It feels very much like it encapsulates all these different human experiences, which I think is fun and interesting. Yeah. But let's go back a little bit and let's talk about Dom,
dude. This poor bastard.
So the opposing force in this show is the
Rawgun Empire.
Rawgun Empire. So and it is helmed by Empress Azalin. Mm-hmm. And so she
goes of the 16th.
At the beginning of this show, I believe her father passed away. Is that right? Her father was the emperor,
right? And
he has passed away and has now bestowed this empire to this young woman.
Yeah, 12, 14-year-old girl.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So, as you can imagine, it is not going so well right at the top. She's not taken to the pressure.
She's doing better than most.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was about to say something. I'm going to backpedal a little bit and say I think she was handling exactly how she probably should be. It's a lot of stress for a young girl,
right?
To be handling. Right. There, and I'm saying that because like she has advisors, quote unquote, and some feel a bit more like they're they're at it for their own gain.
Right. Wang.
Yeah. Wang.
Piece of shit. Oh my God.
We will talk about Wang.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this other young railgun person we've touched on. His name is Dom.
Right.
And he is the trusted advisor, in my personal opinion.
Oh yeah,
I think she's still
right-hand man.
She's still kind of like figuring that, like feeling that all out. But he is true to her, and he is also
pinnacle of a royal guard.
100%. He has her best interest at heart, and he is really trying his best not only for the Empire but also for her sanity and safety as well. And man.
The most straight-laced dude you can think of.
But he looks brooding.
Mm-hmm.
He's got
serious business.
He's got hair over his eyes. Yeah. He looks a bit like a bit angsty.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first time, it made me question because his outward appearance looks a bit dark and a bit like, oh, should I not trust Dom?
Gives me Vampire Hunter D vibes.
Yes. And then you look at Wang, and even though he's got a whack ass name, I look at Wang and I'm like, he's an older.
That's a crusty old man.
He's an older guy.
That's a Jafar.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, so I'm not sure. Do I trust the guy dressed in white, who's an older gentleman who like maybe has more expertise? I don't know yet, but he feels a bit slimy and like a bit sleazy.
Yeah.
Then you got this young angsty guy, and I'm like, but is he? But who do I trust?
Yeah.
And then as the show progresses, you're like, Dom
all the way.
All my chips on Dom.
That's my boy.
That's my boy. I'd do anything for Dom.
Yeah.
So, and as we've talked about in the previous episode, we won't go into all of it, but like there are some moments in the show where our boy Captain Tylor,
right, his name is whispered throughout the Empire.
Yes,
as this unstoppable ship captain.
Yes,
who has destroyed countless of our vessels.
Yeah, single-handedly with a battle cruiser, which is like smaller than some of the ships.
Comparatively older destroyer.
Right. So he is doing more with less. And then at that, I mean, for anybody in any kind of war scenario, be like, all right, we got to lock in.
To fuck with.
Yeah, right.
You see him, you better bring your A game.
Yeah, right. And even whenever, what was her name? Dom's like captain or whatever. Jihas. Whenever he sends her out, she
comes back in a shuttle.
Yeah.
Whereas previously she had her own cruiser.
Yep. It's all gone. And that was whenever he was like, you mind telling me what the hell just happened?
You want to explain to me what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. And then that right there, I think, is the nail in the coffin for Dom, where he's like,
something.
Yeah.
What the hell is happening?
That was like that was the switch that flipped for him. That was like, okay, we got to be on our A game when Tyler's around.
If he hears the fucker's name, he's immediately locked in.
Oh, right.
If not at first going, what?
What? Yeah. And then of course I think it was after that was whenever Dom goes to meet him face to face or ship to ship, or was it just before that?
That was before.
Okay.
That was his first encounter with Tyler, was the ship to ship.
Interesting. Okay.
Whenever Tyler was in his dress white,
I do remember that.
All prim and proper.
For the first and only time in the show.
So that was Dom's first impression of Tyler.
That's so good.
He had the motherfucker completely fooled.
So fooled.
So you can imagine Dom's got this image of like this just
stoic,
impeccably like perfect ship captain.
Right.
Who's very respectful.
Yeah.
But also like not afraid to fight, and he's just like,
I
don't know what I'm gonna do again. If I see that fucker again, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
So what happens? What is the crazy thing that happens in that moment? He had what was it, wine that he poured,
right?
And it was drinking
some
over
kind of beverage.
It was some sort of alcoholic beverage,
a commemorative like pre-battle toast.
Yes,
to each other
on their respective ships through like a
wishing each other the best of luck.
Yes.
And oh man, I can't.
Something happens like
the Marines take the dropship and just start going ballistic on the entire fleet while the guard is down.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets out of that fucking situation. Completely unbeknownst to Tyler.
And Tyler did not command that to happen.
Right. He's just paying attention to how much time's left in that fucking hourglass so he doesn't have to wear this fucking suit anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's things like that where he's just like, it's all just happenstance.
Right.
But it's all, I don't know. I love it. It's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
But with that, again, that happens, then Jihas's ship gets destroyed, and it's all these like little events where anytime Tyler is around, because what happened with Donan? Was Donan after all that? Or was he before all that?
Donan was before.
Okay,
yeah,
because that was an interesting situation too.
Oh god,
they were running away from Donan, like this other kind of like higher up,
one of his own like fleets,
right?
Has just been after Tyler,
and they keep how. If I'm not mistaken, how warp drive kind of works in this show is like they have to, they can like randomly warp, but it's like really dangerous, and like it's best to like have like a location calculated so you can warp to a specific location. But you can like quickly do it without calculating a location. You'll just end up somewhere random, which is kind of scary and terrifying to think about. And so what's happening is this fleet is able to locate where they're going to jump, like as they're before they're jumping as well. So like this big fleet is like staying on
just
top
hot
of
on
them.
Their heels,
right? And then they end up in the end warping right on top of a star, like really close to it. And then of course this crazy moment happens where they launch this volley of rockets, and of course the gravitational
curve, makes all of the rounds like just fall right into the star.
Right. Instead of hitting them, they go straight down.
And it's about to fucking explode.
Oh, yeah.
It evaporates the entire enemy fleet after that point.
And in a crazy turn of events, which I think is also like good on Dom, but also kind of crazy at the same time, is whenever like Donan's like, what about Tylor's ship?
Did we get him?
And then of course like in
yes, sir. The ship is in flames as we speak.
Right. Just sending him, like, just letting him, because he knows that Donan and his whole fleet's dead.
Right.
He's like, just send you away, knowing that you got You got who you're fighting for.
I'll let you rest in peace.
Yeah, exactly. But lo and behold, no, Tyler gets
against
out.
all odds.
Yep. And then and add that check to his list of ships he destroys. A whole fleet gone.
Yeah.
And by a very important individual.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. This is
So it's all these little checks that like end up making him to be like this
unstoppable force.
This name whispered in the dark.
Right. This demon
in the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Oh yeah. What a reputation to have.
Ugh. What a great show.
Mm-hmm. Never gonna get sick of it.
All of it. The music, the vibe, the looks, the story, the characters, it's all really fun.
Impeccable.
The only thing I told you was that as we were approaching the end, I was like, I want more.
Yeah.
And you were telling me there's OVAs that continue the story in a way. And so do they how many are there, and do they all continue? Or are they kind of just different?
Right. They're all of the same like plot line.
Okay.
Some of them feel more like side stories than others, but I mean, they're still a fun watch, and they're all linked together by the end.
Nice.
So
that's cool.
I think you'll enjoy it.
And you said there's 3 of them? 2?
I don't remember the exact amount, actually.
Because now that we have watched this whole show, I definitely want to continue a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I also just love the fact that he he talks so fondly of all the women.
Oh, of course.
He always talks so highly and fondly of all of them, and they all kind of treat him poorly, or they don't really only think that much about him.
Right. Yeah.
But as the show progresses, they all really come to love him, and I think that's so interesting and funny that he just has this. He is
this magnetism.
And that's why I think what is it called? A Freudian slip.
Yeah.
Where I
call him irresistible.
I'm calling him irresistible because I'm like, come on, man.
Like, damn, bro.
How can you not love the guy?
Right. It's impossible.
Yeah. And so all the women in the crew end up like really falling in love with him, and really and I think I joked at like the first episode or first 2 episodes where I'm like, he really is just risen his way to the top.
Yep.
And I said that jokingly, but like in the very end, that is very truthful.
It's pretty much what happens.
The thing that, and this probably meant nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it meant a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
Commander Star,
Oh,
Yuriko.
yeah, dude.
Yuriko is this young woman that is, I know she's the lieutenant commander of the ship.
Yes.
She kind of works as like what was it? Because she's not comms, right? The other girl was comms.
Yeah, Kim was comms.
Yeah.
I want to say she was combat intelligence.
Probably. Okay, yeah. She has a very important role. I would say between Yamamoto and Yuriko, like those two are like kind of the
first and second officers.
Right, correct. She wants nothing to do with him.
Right.
In fact, whenever
especially when they first met, dude. Oh my god.
Oh my god. There is her character progression is so interesting in kind of a strange way.
Right.
I think
it's similar to how Yamamoto works out.
Yeah.
But I mean, she takes a while.
Oh yeah. She downright. I mean, whenever Tylor gets a bit flirty or a bit funny or even says some things kind of cross, she straight up slaps the piss out of him.
Right. She's straight up like, I gotta fix him.
Yeah.
This man cannot be the captain of the ship.
Numerous times. So whenever that whole incident happened where they had to like get the chip out of his brain, and she was like with Azalin, and they were like experiencing his mind and his memories through theirs, and she was like, I don't like the person that I am towards. I don't want to be mean and upset all the time.
Right.
And I think the reason why like her character and her arc meant a lot to me because I've had that same discussion with myself of like looking introspectively and like being in an environment and in a workplace that like really brings the worst out of you, or really brings a bad side out of you.
She's been looking at Tyler and being like, how the fuck can you act this way?
Yeah.
As a military man, like as a captain of a destroyer.
Right.
And whenever she like finally comes to grips with it, she's just like, he's just some guy.
Yeah.
He's just a normal dude.
Not only that, he's also like been kind and polite and nothing but like loving and genuine towards the whole crew. And
man, when she was transferred to the deputy commander of intelligence.
Yep.
And that one dude was just like, man, I'm surprised I've never had a superior say thank you or could you please before.
Right.
And she was just like, normal. Wow, that's normal. And then it hits.
Yep.
That's everything Tyler did.
Yep. Just polite and kind and nice. And she's like, so that's not normal? Because that's been normal for me. But that's what I'm saying. It's like I had that introspective moment for myself where I had to look at myself in the mirror and because, people talk, word gets around,
right? Reputation
and whatnot. And whenever I heard whispers of like what people were thinking and saying about me, about like working with me, working underneath me, and I was like, this job is bringing out a really ugly and mean side of me to where my subordinates and coworkers are all like, I don't like working with him because he's kind of a jackass. And I'm like, I don't want, that's not me. That has never been me. But like the stress and this frustration and like and of course all these other circumstances that are just bringing out this bad side of me. I was watching that whole scene between Aslan and Yuriko, like experiencing this whole thing where she's like, I don't want to be frustrated and pissed off all the time. And she's like, and Aslan was like, then don't.
Right.
Then be nice. Then whenever Tylor is being goofy and as being complimentary, accept the compliment. Have a little fun every now and then. And I was like, damn, dude. It was for me, like I was kind of reliving that moment of like, you're right. Whenever people are being nice, just say thank you. Just be nice. Right. Don't be a
unless
jackass.
It's like some lecherous shit.
Well, I mean, right. Have wisdom and of course, gauge your own situations. But for me, that was what, and so eventually, whenever the ending episode happens and Tylor has all but quit the military, gave up, has passed the torch on, and all the crew has gone in their own different directions.
Yeah. And man, Yamamoto took it the hardest.
Yeah.
That poor motherfucker. After he finds out, after Yuriko like tells everyone, after sharing a drink with Tyler in the
and that's what I was going to say to kind of transition to that. No one can find Tylor except for whenever Yuriko gets this feeling and she ends up going to
the shipbreaking yards.
Yeah, where they're tearing apart the Soyokaze. And then sure enough, if nothing else, I just want to watch that last episode again because it was so interesting and so thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Because like she hears footsteps coming from behind her and she just instinctually knows that this is Tylor. So she turns around and salutes.
Yep.
And there Tylor is. And the first words out of his mouth is, why can't we ever meet each other in more romantic circumstances?
Right.
And I'm like, dude. Oh, gosh, I love that. And then of course they end up sharing a drink on the
remains of the bridge.
Right. And he's in the captain's seat and she's like sitting on his lap and it's like this really intimate moment between the two of them. And I was like, whoa. These characters were so opposing each other. And now we're in such an interesting moment where they're being very vulnerable with each other and very open. And I was like, I don't know, dude. It was so encouraging. It was so cool to see. That yes, there's even a moment where I think they were saying some rather nice things about each other, and they were like, "This isn't the alcohol talking,"
right?
Like
yeah.
And then he ends up encouraging her at the very end, being like, here's what I want you to tell all the different members of the crew is to
do what you want,
Yep.
however you want to do
right,
it.
and let fate work everything else out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man.
Yep.
And then this
They
do. And this, man, I always loved Yamamoto's character.
Mm-hmm.
He's the straight lace to Tylor's chaos.
Rambunctious goofball.
Right. And even though he could be a bit uptight, I still think he has heart, and I think he cares in his own way.
He's a good man.
He's a good man, deep down. And
Tyler just really had to reach in there and yank that fucker out.
When I tell you at the end of this show, whenever Yamamoto becomes captain of his own ship, the Aso, he ends up getting the rest of the crew together by
giddy as can be,
dude. And he's having, because at this moment he even says
like the pinnacle of his career, his dream.
Yeah, he's
was
been
captain his own ship.
He's been kind of passed up for promotion for a little bit from what I heard, and so the fact that he's able to get that promotion is a really big deal to him. And even says it. He's like, I won't take this lightly. I'll sacrifice my life and everything for the Empire, or no, not for the Empire, for the
Space Force.
Space Force.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I know it was such a fun moment, but it made my heart swell with love and joy what happened at the end.
Oh yeah.
It turns goofy really quickly.
Yeah.
But like Yamamoto's on the bridge of what we assume is
big
the
ass
Aso.
Smile on his face.
Oh, he's loving it.
He's going through system checks for every major system in the ship.
And the whole crew got back together from all different walks of life.
Every single member of the crew. Now, he's real excited. He's getting giddy with it. Even Admiral Mifune is like, he's having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Let the man have his fun.
Right. And then after everything is like checked off and ready to go, he steps aside and is like, "Your orders, sir." And it's fucking Tylor in the captain's chair of the Soyokaze.
And it's this perfect timing where he's standing right there and he's like, he's checked every system. And he's like, with that being said, what are your orders, Captain? And steps aside, and Tylor is sitting right there. And it's like, oh man,
yeah, dude.
That's so cool. Because the last time we saw him from that moment, like he had, oh man, it was just, again, it probably is not meant to be as emotional as it was, but there's this lovely moment. The last time we saw Tylor was whenever Yuriko kind of gets frustrated with the fact that, like, you know, he's not going to come back and things are different now.
I'm just going to do what she said.
Right. And so she steps out and like cuts off this really emotional situation. She's about to walk out, and she kind of resigns herself to feel like we're probably really never going to cross paths again, not in the same way.
Right.
And then again, I'm probably looking way too deep into this, but it spoke more to me on like an emotional level. Is that as she's walking away, before she even makes it out the door, he hasn't even turned around yet, and he says, "Yuriko, I mean, I still got some alcohol here. We still can sit down and drink and, like, you know, just pretend like everything's okay right now."
Right.
And then she ends up, like, you know, turning around and saluting him as he like stands up and is looking at her. And he's like, "I'm gonna go ahead and do what you're saying. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do what I want to do, the way I want to do it, and let fate all work it out." And proceeds to turn around and walk off. And then he's standing there alone. And then he salutes her, or he salutes just the void now at that point. And it's like, oh,
damn,
yeah, how. Oh man, that's hard because at that point in time in the show, you're like, that's it, that's the end.
That's the last time we see him.
Until the big reveal on what we think is the Aso, but apparently is actually the remodeled Soyokaze,
refurbished.
Yep,
and it's brand fucking new.
Oh gosh, I love
crashes through a random bay in the station, starts blowing shit up all over the damn place.
Yep,
knocks the osso like out of the staging area.
Literally bonks it down.
Right, yeah.
Thunk.
Retrieves Yuriko as the final member of the original crew and then gets the fuck out of Dodge.
I love it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It feels so good. When they fly off into space, you're like, oh, how nice.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it left me feeling like, man, I just want a little bit more.
Yep.
I remember
and we got it.
I know, and we got it, but I haven't seen it yet. So for me, this is the end, and I'm like, no, please,
Right.
I want more.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I good time.
This was a brief, I feel like a little brief watch for us because we actually ended up. We normally with these kind of shows we do 2, sometimes 3 episodes. For the most part, it's usually 2.
Mm.
But there was a couple times with this show I enjoyed it so much that we ended up.
Through a third.
We ended up banging out 3, a handful of sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, towards the end, we thought there was only 4 left. We're going to watch all of them. We watched 4 and then realized there was 2 more. And I was like, and it was already
no
pretty late.
way.
It was already pretty late. And I was like, well, I want to continue.
We might as well.
I want to, but it's kind of late. So we ended up holding off the last 2 for the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I'd also looked over at you, Dylan, and I told him, I was like, hey, there are so many. I feel like there are so many gems in the anime world that I haven't even began to uncover.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of TV shows, but specifically like 80s and 90s anime, dude. I feel like there's so much, which is, it's great.
Oh yeah,
because I remember for those of you who've listened to the show, I mean, as the past few months, I would say, because I don't think it's been a year yet since we watched Outlaw Star, has it? I don't think it's been that long. But anyway, but that's one of those ones where I told you we watched that you were gonna collect myself. Huh?
Right.
I'm getting flustered here. We sat down and you just put on this show. We were halfway through. What was it, Bebop or Big O?
I think we were rewatching the Big O. Yeah,
or we were watching Big O. We haven't even finished it yet. He was like, I just want to show you this one little episode of this show. Right. We watched the first episode, Outlaw Star, and I was like, "Go ahead and put the second one on, buddy, because I'm hooked now.
I'm in.
Mm-hmm. And of course, that show did a really good job of I don't think it was cliffhangers. Maybe it was, but I remember that each episode, I was like, I gotta watch the next one.
Yeah.
Which that's great. That's that's for me, that's great entertainment. That's great cinema. If you're able to
peak cinema,
you end up hooking somebody in at the end of it. They're like, well, we gotta watch the next one.
Right.
I can't just not watch the next one. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, that was a great show too. That was on a whim. So now I'm excited for what the future holds now.
Sailor Moon.
Oh, is that right?
I mean, eventually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you gotta see it at least once.
I did the unspeakable the other night with you in the car. I asked you how many seasons One Piece had.
I was baffled.
I was just curious.
Beside myself at this question.
Hey, nobody hold your breath. I was just curious because I know that they're on the final arc.
Right.
And I know that we are at the end of an era where the second that's over, there's going to be a void in space and time.
Right.
I remember
sequel series 2 pieces.
Yeah, 2 pieces. I remember back in the day whenever I used to watch Cartoon Network as a young boy. I was a big fan of Naruto. As I feel like everyone's got to. Hey.
Ready to start somewhere.
Everybody has got to start anime somewhere, and mine was watching the first 100 episodes of Naruto. On Cartoon Network,
right.
and through various online streaming sites or whatever, however I did it back then.
Right.
My brother was really big into Bleach for a long time. It was another one.
Code Geass.
That came later.
Oh,
Code Geass came later for me, but shit. I can't remember.
Damn.
Oh, Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh,
I remember watching like the first 2 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist, or watching a couple of them. But anyways, with that being said, I think there was a time on Cartoon Network where they showed a handful of One Piece episodes, or they kept up to date with whatever was recent in the 2000 teens, whatever that may have been.
Yeah.
So for me, I remember watching some episodes of the show and liking it or having fun with it, enjoying it when it came on, but I never kept up with like the hard storyline like I did with Naruto. I was interested with that. I got involved with it. I started reading the manga for Naruto.
Damn.
So I got really hooked on it because it was like the first one that I had, or the first one I seen that was like a cartoon show that had such a deep lore and it got kind of gritty and serious every now and then. And I was like, oh, this is.
Right. I've never seen something like this before.
I was also like 12 years old, so I was like peak, like, oh yeah, ninja vibes. So anyways, but like I never did that for One Piece, but it was always just around. So like I've seen sprinklings of episodes. I know the barest of lore beats, but I know nothing of the past probably decade of recent.
There's so much.
I know.
It'd be so worth it.
I know.
Dude.
I know it would be so many episodes, and it would take a long time to do it. But because we're at, like I said, the ending of an era.
Yeah.
I feel as though I have an obligation.
I'm called.
I'm called
Right.
to at least be
To witness.
Right. Maybe not at the same time. What I'm saying is, maybe not to catch up with everyone, so that way I'm watching it when it debuts.
Right.
But at least
just to go through the series at your own pace.
Exactly. So that way, whenever I do want to eventually finish One Piece, I can watch all of it.
Bro, let's fucking go.
It's a possibility. I know. So, but besides that, though, I'm not sure what other. I obviously have heard nothing but great things about Frieren. I have not watched that yet. What is it?
Delicious and
Dungeons. I've heard that's a really good one as well. That I think people have told me I would like, but haven't had a chance to watch either.
Right.
So, but yeah, there's a handful out there that I'm excited about.
Oh yeah, we got a whole list.
I know. I feel like I don't pay for Crunchyroll or Funimation.
Me neither.
But I feel like that there's one of those that I feel like because we probably would.
I want to say at one point or another we did have Crunchyroll on the TV.
We did. I think we had Funimation for a long time because Mallory is her favorite anime is Attack on Titan,
Right.
And that was like the prime place to watch that. So she would regularly rewatch that show. So yeah, but if there's one of those two that would be more, that would have a better selection, because I know also Netflix has a lot too, or Amazon. I forgot
a few.
Not sure,
right?
But I know there's a handful on there we can probably get our hands on.
Oh yeah.
Well, with that being said, we've come to a close on this episode.
That'll round us out.
I hope that we have encouraged you to take a look at the Irresponsible Captain Tylor.
Please.
Because that is
You're missing out.
It's a fun show. It's wacky. It's good. It's emotional where it needs to be. It's fun. Yep. The only call to action that I have for you this week is please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel where all these videos get posted. We don't actually have like videos, but we have, like audio versions of the podcast on YouTube, and that is at Hindsight Studios, all one word. You can type that in at the search bar, and we should pop up there, or you can do /@, Hindsight Studios, and you could find us there. So please be sure to subscribe, and if you feel so led, leave a like on one of the episodes if you listen to us. I would greatly appreciate it. But until next week, thank you so much for listening.
See you.
Bye-bye.